He's not here yet.
I'm not the only one that realizes the council meeting starts at, doesn't realize the council meeting starts at 8. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Clayton.
I move to approve the order of business August 9th, 2016, regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council as submitted.
Second.
Second by Councilman Musket. All those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the July 26, 2016 meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
I move that the council approve the minutes of the regular council meeting held on July 26, 2016, as submitted.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Lisa Hicks Clayton. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda is fund transfers and current claims.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Horvath.
I move that the council approve current claims 6-1 through 6-20.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kozinski. Any discussion? Any comments, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, reports from city officials. Item 9A from Treasurer John Riley, 2016 tax increment refunding bonds.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Clayton.
I move the City Council adopt the limited tax full faith and credit pledge resolution as submitted in item 9A.
Second.
Second by Councilman Musket. Any discussion? Yes. Treasurer Riley?
We appreciate your support on this. There is going to be one small amendment to the lease agreement that's attached. Now, the resolution says that it's going to be in substantial form. That's in there. The small amendment that's going to be placed in there is to better define the court revenues that come to the city that are used as the city's lease payment on the TIFA bonds, and that is basically there's a $10 of the court fees per civil infraction and misdemeanor are the payments that the city will make towards the bonds, and that's been past practice. And Patrick McGowan with Miller Canfield had a conference call with Comptroller Macari, myself, and Michelle Atkins, the court director, and clarified all of that. And he wanted to incorporate that into the lease agreement to clarify the original lease. And I just wanted to let you know that that was going to take place.
Thank you, Treasurer. Anybody have any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski?
is it Treasurer Riley necessary to include that language?
No, I think because, the resolution says as is substantial the form that's in place, and this is really just basically memorializing the tradition or the practice that's been taking place since we issued the original bonds, and to clarify that. And so it just thought it would be better to have it better explained in the lease agreement as opposed to how it was originally adopted in the lease agreement.
So, all said and done, essentially there's no difference in the source of revenue in those two instances?
None at all.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Thank you, Treasurer. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, item 9B, from Administrative Assistant Christine Laszlo, residential purchase agreements.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
I move council acknowledge and concur the recommendations of Administrative Assistant Laszlo and approve the purchase of properties defined in 9B, indicating the pricing of $135,000 for one group and $140,500 for the second group. The second price structure was not available in the original printing, but did come over the email.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Clayton. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Musket.
I guess the question is 5360 Madison part of the flood mitigation?
Yes.
So, okay,
Yeah, it's right around the corner, and that was included in the original
okay, thank you.
homes.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, also from Administrative Assistant Christine Laszlo, purchase of properties from the 2016 Wayne County tax foreclosure list.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
I move the council concur with Administrative Assistant Laszlo and approve the purchases of properties listed and defined in 9C, dated July 28, 2016, all according to the details of 916.
Support.
9C.
Support by Councilwoman Clayton. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, also from Administrative Assistant Christine Laszlo, quote for title searches and title insurance.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Clayton.
I move to approve the e-title to perform title searches for no more than $300 per property and provide title insurance according to the attached rate table as included in 9D.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kozinski. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, item 9E, from Public Service Administrator Bill Zimmer, 2016 CDBG Water Main Program.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman
I
Kozinski.
move council concur with William Zimmer, DPW Administrator, with regard to the request to approve change order number 1 and payment certificate number 2 in the amount of $151,258.07. Payment certificate number 2 includes the contract increase reflected in change order number 1. All details per item 9E over the memo dated August 1st, 2016.
Support.
Support by Councilman Musket. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, item 9F, also from Public Service Administrator Bill Zimmer, 2015 CDBG Water Main Program Change Order.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
move council concur with the request of William Zimmer, Director of the Department of Public Works, and approve change order number 1 and payment certificate number 3 in the amount of $210,236.31. Payment certificate number 3 includes a contract decrease reflected in change order number 1, all detailed in item 9F over the date of a memo August 1st, 2016.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Clayton. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda from Deputy Director Constant, 2017-2019 Senior Alliance Grant Award Contract.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilwoman Clayton.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I move to concur with Parks and Recreation Department Deputy Director Kim Constant and accept the Senior Center staffing grant of $11,498 for each year for 3 years, 2017 to 2019, from the Senior Alliance, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign and date the 2 copies of the contract, and authorize the mayor to sign 2 copies of the business associate agreement as outlined in 9G.
Is there support?
Support.
Support by Councilman Musket. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, item 9H, from Councilwoman Margaret Horvath, Parliamentary Procedures and Open Meetings Act Seminar.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Horvath.
I move that the council approve an expenditure of $1,500 for the purpose of parliamentary procedure seminar and the Open Meetings Act to take place here in the council chambers on September 6th, as outlined in 9H. And the expenditure is to be charged to account 101-200-817-000, which is general fund contracts.
Support by Councilman Musket. And I want to thank Councilwoman Horvath and everyone for, we've done this before, and I think it's a real good idea.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make sure that the administration contacts all the boards and commissions.
Will do.
And somebody should be here from each board and commission to hear the presentation and participate in it.
That's a good idea. So, Mayor?
We'll consider it done.
Great, thank you. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
that does not exclude the citizens who
Right.
might be apprised of how all these processes go and what it needs to be understood to conduct some of the formal decisions that take place at this dais.
Oh, good point, good point. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, item 11A, from Councilwoman Hicks Clayton, resolution to support repeal of Public Act 256 of 2011, the Michigan Fireworks Safety Act.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Clayton.
I move City Council approve the resolution to repeal Public Act 256 of 2011, restoration of regulations on fireworks that were in effect prior to Public Act 256. Part of the resolution includes the supporting passage of Senate Bill 450, 451 of 2015, introduced by our State Senator David Kniezek, as well as House Bills 4725, 4726, presented by State Rep. Henry Yanitz, as submitted in item 11A.
Support.
Support by Councilman Musket. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Councilwoman Clayton.
Certainly, this has been an ongoing issue. I serve on the Michigan Municipal League Services, the Municipal Services Committee. This is a subject, I know we think of it around the legal holidays since we hear the fireworks, but I wanted to say a resolution is important because that is our voice and our position on a House bill that passed into law, which is not really in the best interest of our community. So with that, I'm working with the Michigan Municipal League to offer a citizen engagement action day. It's a lobby day in Lansing. We do have a date for that, September 21st, and I will present more information very soon, but I wanted you to get it on your calendar. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Kozinski.
Councilwoman Hicks Clayton, was there any intention for you to circulate this amongst other communities?
We certainly can do that, yes. Yes, and I am aware that Wayne County, and I know our commissioners here, Diane Webb, that they did pass a resolution that is similar, and this is based on that as well. So yes, the answer is yes to that.
What would it take? Is it? I didn't happen to notice it in the document. Is it in the?
That's what we usually do, is if it's passed, we can send it to the other communities.
Right, I stand corrected.
And when we send it, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
When we send it, which we've included the Michigan Municipal League, they post that on their website as a resource for other municipalities to check, so they can look at it and see what's out there resolution-wise, and if they choose to adopt it, they can.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I wasn't going to say anything. I mean, I'm supportive of this, but it would be nice if any of this legislation had been introduced by Republicans, since they control both the House and the Senate. I don't see this passing with the Democrats.
That's right, yeah. The expanded fireworks laws, sales has been a problem. The one sponsor is a former fire chief from Sterling Heights.
Yeah, I'm supportive of this, but like I said, if it came from the other side of the aisle, I would think it'd have a better chance of passage.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Kozinski.
Mr. Mayor, you're drawing a distinction between the two parties?
Absolutely.
Have faith.
Okay.
Be optimistic.
Yeah, time will tell. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, business license renewal for the doghouse on Van Born Road in Dearborn Heights.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Horvath.
I move that the council approve the renewal application for the doghouse, bar and grill, I guess, located on Van Born Road in Dearborn Heights, as outlined in 13A.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kozinski. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Is our police officer here?
Yes, he is.
You want to come forward?
All right, he's back from his police work to join us for our meeting here. I don't know how many of you guys have heard about this. It was on a lot of the news programs locally, but I'm just going to go ahead and read this letter that I wrote to the council that are going to detail what happened on July 29th. Our fire department responded to a house fire located at 6807 Country Lane, and I want to acknowledge the actions of one of our police officers, Officer Scott Keller, prior to our arrival. On the above stated afternoon, at approximately 4:45 p.m., the resident of Country Lane discovered a fire in their kitchen. They grabbed their youngest child and ran from the home. Once outside, they discovered that their older son, 7-year-old Yusuf Toba, had not exited. Realizing the child must have ran upstairs, the family attempted to re-enter the home, but the smoke was too thick and they couldn't make it inside. Now the child was trapped upstairs with a growing fire in the kitchen, and the closest fire engine was still several minutes away. With no regard for his own safety, under dangerous conditions which were growing worse by the minute, Officer Keller entered the home to save the trapped child. With near zero visibility, he located the child upstairs and quickly carried him out to safety. Officer Keller's sense of duty, bravery, and determination was the difference in saving this child's life. His actions are another reason why all of us at the fire department are proud to serve alongside such a fine group of men and women who make up our police department. We are truly grateful for Officer Keller and all the other officers at DHPD who serve every day with the best interest of our residents in their hearts. Thank you very much, Scott.
I'm just so proud, and I get a lot of reports, and I'll tell you, we have a lot of heroes in the fire department and the police department. These people put their lives on the line for all of us citizens day in and day out, and it's so good to recognize the actions that you took place. You are one of our heroes, and we're very proud. So thank you for all that you do, and all the others on the police and fire department. You keep us safe, and you save a lot of lives all the time. Good job.
And on behalf of the entire city council, good job. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I should say that we have a recognition, but we wanted all the council members to have an opportunity to sign it, so you'll be getting it at a later date, but it's from all of us. So once again, great job.
Thank you.
That ends the business portion of our meeting. Are there any announcements? Any announcements
Mr.
from anybody
Chairman?
here at the table? Councilwoman Clayton.
Thank you. I have three this evening. The first one is to thank the Crestwood School District High School, the Arab Student Union, who joined forces with Dearborn Heights Parks and Recreation in order to revitalize Van Houten Park, which is a very much beloved park in our community. 40 high school students worked to clean and repair equipment at the community park, making a difference. So thank you to those students and their leaders and their parents as well for their support. I also wanted to announce we continue to offer opportunities of service for our youth in our community, as well as family members with our Neighbors Helping Neighbors program and the Teen Action Council. On Saturday, August 13th, from 9 to noon, there will be another community service project. We are meeting at the Salvation Army at 9 a.m. The address is 26700 Warren Avenue, and we will be cleaning yards, raking, weeding, and trimming things, that whatever they need, bushes and et cetera like that. But one thing, and I'm going to let the cat out of the bag, but one of the residents we're helping is turning 91, so we're going to be celebrating his birthday with him. So again, we're looking for youth volunteers to come out and help us on Saturday. And the last thing I had was an announcement for the Salvation Army. It's pretty much time to go back to school. I know parents are like, yay, right? And the kids not so much. But Salvation Army, which services Dearborn, Dearborn Heights, Garden City, Livonia, and Redford, they do an annual Tools for Schools campaign. And so we're beginning that again, and you will see collection bins at different municipal buildings starting the week of August 15th, including the John F. Kennedy Library, Carolyn Kennedy Library, Berwyn and Eaton Senior Centers. So if you're out shopping and you see some of these great back-to-school sales and can pick up some pencils, markers, crayons, folders, we're going to fill backpacks as well as present winter coats to kids that need it in our community. So those bins will be out through the month of August until the middle of September, September 15th. So just wanted to put that out. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Clayton. Any other announcements?
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Musket.
I'd like to ask a question, if anybody out there knows. We just recently, two businesses on Van Born just up and up left. The one that was the used car lot there on Jackson.
Jackson and Van Born.
And then the one that was selling the used appliances, just up and up left. I know the one, the appliance store, the old Leprechaun Bar, kind of left it kind of a mess. But anybody know what happened to those businesses? Why they just
I know the
picked up and left?
That business that moved into the building that was the Crazy Leprechaun Bar, they were just renting, and they redid the front windows, but that was no location for that type of business, and so now it's again an empty storefront. I don't know, maybe our ordinance director knows anything further?
I don't really. I know that both of them had said it was quite a struggle trying to start a business there, that they felt like they didn't get a lot of support, so that's just what I've heard recently.
My father, who's the only living original charter commissioner for the city of Dearborn Heights, he operated a business on Van Born for 40-some years, and I'm real familiar with the area, but
Just strange that they up and just left.
Mr. Chairman? Not on that, but I wanted to make a couple announcements. One is, this is Ron Eamon's last meeting. He's retiring, and I'm going to miss him as a friend. I think he's done a great job for the community. I hope you'll join me in a round of applause for your great service, Ron. Then, we've had a lot of discussions about the Detroit newspaper agency putting those things at the bottom of our driveways that we don't like. A letter came in. It was not addressed particularly to me. It was a generic letter, city mayor or city manager, but it's a notification that the Yellow Book Suburban Wayne County, Michigan directory is going to be delivered throughout Dearborn Heights from August 15th to September 26th. So I don't know. I don't use the Yellow Pages anymore, and but they're coming, and I wish I could stop them, but I don't know that we can. But this came out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and it just, at least there is a courtesy letter telling us they're coming. I don't remember receiving these in the past, but if you don't like it, they are recyclable, it says, and so you could discard them in hopefully the recyclable bin. The other thing that I wanted to announce, really exciting, the fire department requested and received a $142,000 grant, which is going to include smoke alarms, carbon monoxide detectors, smoke alarms, fire extinguishers, various tools, and they also receive grant money to do some printed advertising material. So good job, Chief, and all the people in the department. But that'll give us an opportunity to get these in people's homes. I'm not sure on the eligibility. We just got notification of the grant, and good job. And the last thing, I know that we're going to be told about a fundraiser going in. I want to encourage everyone. This young man needs our help and support in his family, and we, if you can, even if you can't attend, buy a ticket so that we can support it. I'll wait to allow the group to make that particular announcement. And lastly, this Saturday is the garage sale, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Canfield Center. Come out, and one person's junk is another person's treasure, and I'm sure you'll find some good bargains to purchase. So that's coming on this coming Saturday. So those are the announcements.
Mayor, thank you. I would ask for everyone, on behalf of myself and the council, to continue to keep Councilman Tom Berry in your thoughts and prayers as he helps a family member battle a very critical illness.
Mr. Chair, one more thing, if
Councilman
I may.
Musket?
This goes along with what the mayor was talking about, the grant for the fire department. I have fire extinguishers at home, and they're old. Maybe Chief Brogan can let us know, how are those still useful, or they have a shelf life, or should I think about getting a new one?
You know, they're all different. You should look and see on the box or on the bottle itself. It will have either an expiration date, and technically, if you have a fire and that's the only thing you have, you can still use it, as long as it's not like one of those really old antique ones. They can actually be dangerous. But we had a fire not that long ago, and they had used an extinguisher and put it out before we got there, and the fire extinguisher was from 1988, so it still worked. Obviously, it was expired, but it put the fire out.
And how do I get rid of them if they're not any good?
And again, it's going to depend on the kind. If you have to actually call the garbage company, and they'll give you tips on how to get rid of them.
That's good information.
All right.
Treasurer Riley?
Raise your hand.
I just wanted to make a quick announcement that the summer tax bills are due this coming Monday, August 15th. So remind people, as the final deadline comes near, the lines get longer, so please be patient. We will do our best to serve you as quickly as we can. We do have a few new employees in the office, so be patient with us, and we will do our very best to get all those payments processed. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Treasurer. Clerk Persevich?
We just wrapped up the primary. We had a disappointing 12% turnout. I know we'll get much, much more for the presidential. One thing I want to keep reminding people of, please don't wait till Saturday, Monday, or Tuesday to say, I didn't get my absentee ballot. We mail those out somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 days before. If you have applied, don't wait till the last day. We can do all kind of things to get you a ballot up until Saturday, and after that it becomes extremely difficult. We're going to be needing workers, folks. I already know some people who are moving and can't work, and are going to be away from the area and can't work. So we have a wonderful relationship with the Honor Society at Crestwood High School. We're trying to expand that, but I try to get 5 people at the polls this election just to get them trained and so forth, and we did not do it. So please, please, please consider, we raised the pay. It's $180 total for the whole package. You need a computer experience, Wayne County registered voter. Not a registered voter. You don't even have to live in Wayne County, excuse me. You can live anywhere. So please consider doing that. Finally, I've been asked to go. I've been saying I want to educate, I want to help. I've been asked to go speak finally. So 2 weeks from today, I'm going to go out and talk to a group about absentee voting and registering those people. So once again, if you have a group that you think it would be advantageous for me to come speak, there's no fees. You don't have to donate to any foundations. We come out for free. So please consider asking if you have a group. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, serving on the Election Commission, not steal your thunder, but don't you have an election, or some part of the city have an election on the 30th? Or
That was canceled by the Secretary of State. There were not enough candidates in the primary. That was supposed to be a primary for the unfilled seat, and there was only one candidate from each party, so that negated the need for a primary.
Oh, okay.
So thankfully, we'll save some money on that and don't have to administer that election.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councilwoman Horvath?
Just as a note to the election process and everything, I was at Kroger's a week or so ago with my daughter, and a lady approached me and asked me if I was on council, and I said yes. And she said, well, I want to thank you for the raise. And I go, what raise? Who are you? And she says, well, I'm a poll worker, and we got a raise this year. And I said, well, I know you got a raise, but you didn't get it from the council. You get it from the process, and that process is out of the clerk's office. So we didn't give anybody a raise, folks. It came from the clerk's office and how they manage everything. Just want to make that clear.
Thank you. Thank you. Library Director Mike Cafferty.
Hello, Council Chair and Mayor. Just wanted to talk about a couple of upcoming events at the library. First off, Tuesday, August 16th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. at Carolyn Candy Library, you can learn to make garnishes the Bangkok 96 way. Ever wonder how some of the artistic cooking art is made? Genevieve, co-owner and chef of Bangkok 96, will be here to show you how to do it. Register in person or by calling 313-791-3800. Also, Wednesday, August 24th and 31st from 6 to 8:30 p.m. at Carolyn Candy Library, animal communicator Leslie Ciranisi of Advanced Animal Therapy will be here to communicate with your dog, cat, or other animal loved one. It's a very popular program. Instead of an actual animal, bring in a picture with their name, and Leslie should be able to link in with them. Please call 313-791-3800 to register. That's all for now. Thank you for your time, and see you at the library.
Mike, thank you. Thank you. We have Gary Barkoff, a longtime officer of the District 7 Dads Club, and his wife, and we have some members of the Dads Club. Do you have an announcement you want to come up and make?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Jim Dolmage, and I'm a member of the Dads Club, Dearborn Heights Wildcats, Annapolis Cougars, and Dearborn Heights Redskins. I either coach or sit on the board in all 4 of those clubs. And on July 17th, we had a local student athlete, an honor student, 17-year-old Josh Zeminski, get hit by a semi-truck while skateboarding. His family has been there pretty much around the clock with him since it happened. He has some very serious injuries, including a traumatic brain injury. We're hosting a spaghetti dinner fundraiser this Friday night at Annapolis High School from 6 to 9 p.m. We have tickets available here, and tickets are available at the door. We have a bunch of great donated prizes for basket raffles. We're going to have 50/50s, we're going to have door prizes, and we're inviting and urging everybody to attend.
So it's at Annapolis High School.
It's at Annapolis.
Williams in Annapolis.
Friday from 6 to 9 p.m., August 12th. And tickets are $8.
Tickets are $8. Councilwoman Horvath, go ahead.
And can you give a mailing address? Because if you want to give a donation, but you can't go, I mailed a donation to somebody.
Absolutely. There are a couple places you can either mail, you can make the checks payable directly to Jerry Zeminski. You can get them to any of the 4 clubs, the Wildcats, the Dad's Club, you can mail them to me. There's any of us there's a flyer that's out here that's got a phone number on it. Any of us will come and pick it up, do whatever's necessary to put the money in their hands.
Good.
We're working on 100% donation. All the food, the labor, the prizes, everything has either been donated from community vendors or the 4 clubs. Everybody's out seeking donations, that kind of thing. We're really hoping to help this family out.
And through the chair, tickets are available in the mayor's office, so that's where in City Hall you can get them. If you want to leave a donation, but we don't want any cash, we would take a check, and we would see that it gets to the organization. But anything that we can do, one of our own in Dearborn Heights is hurting. We need to be fully supportive and show our efforts, and hopefully the young man's going to be okay.
Yeah, tickets are also available at the Rec Center.
Okay.
At the Richard A. Young Center?
The Richard A. Young Center, yes, and we will be coming by. We can come by on Thursday because the name and phone number portion on your tickets that you sell, when they fill that out, they will be entered for door prizes. So you don't even have to be there to win a prize.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Wayne County Commissioner Diane Webb.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that was the most important announcement of the evening. But I just want to, number one, I want to thank the residents of Dearborn Heights for supporting the Parks millage this year, especially. It's been renewed 3 times, and it's another renewal. But this time, the county commission got involved, and we changed the language. And we improved the language, actually. The former language had Fort Wayne in it, which isn't even a county park. So I don't understand how it was in it to begin with. Must have been a political move, but it predates me. Anyways, we removed that, and we also guaranteed a bottom of $50,000 to every community in Wayne County. And it doesn't increase the cost to any resident. So the average house in Wayne County will pay $8.57 for the year. That's the average house. Now, a house worth $100,000 is $12.30 a year. And that supports not only the county parks, which we're lucky here in Dearborn Heights, we have Hines Park right here. A lot of communities in Wayne County don't even have one of the parks, but we have the best of both worlds here because we have a county park, and you have several beautiful parks that we've done a lot of work in. I know since I've been the commissioner here, we've put playscapes and storage areas and tennis courts and did a lot of improvement to parks. But your going rate last year was based on how much you put in, and you were at about $34,000. So this will raise the amount that Dearborn Heights gets to put in your own parks from $34,000 to $50,000. So it's a bonus for my residents here in Dearborn Heights. I was very pleased to have the support of the community on that one. And I have flyers with information on the parks that gives more background, historical information on what it's done, and I can leave them here if people have questions as to where the money's going, et cetera. Then I just want to do another quick announcement on August 18th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at our Wayne County Wellness Service Center. I don't know if you all are familiar with it, but it's over there at Van Born and Vinoy in Wayne, Michigan. The address is 33030 Van Born. They're calling it a back-to-school fun fest,
But I kind of question that name since you can go there and get dental screenings and immunizations, and I don't know how many kids are going to find that really fun. But they're also, on a positive side, they are giving away bicycle helmets. They're doing bicycle helmet safety. They're doing a car seat giveaway, but that's a raffle. They're doing free backpacks to the first 300 students that show up at the event. They also have sports physicals that are there, free haircuts for kids, information on a host of other things. There'll be refreshments and food available. It's all free of charge for Wayne County residents. I also have a flyer on that, and I can leave both of the flyers that I have here on the corner of that desk if anyone's interested. Or you can call my office at 313-224-0930. That's 313-224-0930 if you have any questions about the event that Wayne County is doing. Again, that's Thursday, August 18th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then lastly, I just have a report from a constituent on the south end in case anyone else was concerned about it. It was brought to my attention that there was a huge metal pole laying on the side of the service drive at Southfield and Van Born, and a lot of people thought it was an eyesore. They called it into the county. It's actually an MDOT issue, but we have worked with MDOT. We've referred it to MDOT, and they're going to come and get it. So it's resolved. If anyone else has been calling Bill, or I'm sure Bill's heard about it. Yeah. No, it's MDOT. So we got it. It's done. It's a done deal. So if anyone else has anything for me, I'll take it. If not,
Mr. Chair?
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner
Hey,
Webb. Councilman
I
Musket?
want Joy Road repaved. Can you do that?
I'm fighting for Joy Road and
From
Beach
Inkster
Daily.
to Telegraph. Woo.
I know, it's terrible, and especially the right lanes.
Yes.
And Beach Daily between Ford, and I fight for them on a daily basis, March, I do. And I did just get a report since I've been here about cleaning, which is usually something you call me on,
the
cleaning the
sewers.
gutters on Telegraph between Joy Road and Ford Road. And
That's an endless job.
It is, and we'll stay on it. Somebody beat you to the punch this time, and I'll get it taken care of.
Councilman Musket?
Parkland
go ahead.
Park is a county park too, correct?
Well,
No.
Yes.
Parkland Park is
We lease it from,
Ours.
currently leased to this, yeah.
So we're responsible for all the maintenance. And we were there for a picnic a week ago, and the pavilion there where we usually have the chili cook-off for the firemen, that's in real sad shape. The roof on it, the rotten wood, and I'm just curious on how that's
Yeah.
going to go.
Well, as long as as long as it's under lease to the city would be responsible for the maintenance. But now that you just got an increase in your parks millage money, you may want to consider it. The only thing is at the end of that lease, and is it one of those 100-year leases?
It's a 100-year lease for $1 a year, and we're about year 55, I think.
So it would be worth the investment.
So maybe you can sneak a little bit extra in to help us out fix those pavilions.
I don't do anything sneaky, but I'm glad that you do have more money coming your way, and you guys should make that a priority because I do think it's something that's heavily utilized.
Thank you.
Sure.
And if I might, kudos to our commissioner. She undersold her impact on that millage and the language that got included in there that was extremely important. You were part of that leadership. Good job.
Thank you.
You always take good care of the community. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
thank
your
you,
time.
thank you. Any other announcements?
Bear with me, I need to see. All righty.
Young guy like you, go ahead.
Council, thank you for letting me up here. On behalf of Mayor Pletko, Chief Gavin, the police officers, dispatchers, reserve officers, and myself, after the shooting of the Dallas and Baton Rouge police officers, the outpouring of support from the citizens was unbelievable. We have received so many cards, cookies, brownies, cakes, baklava, and yes, donuts. There was even one individual from Matt's Auto who brought us dinner for all 4 shifts. This is the best outpouring I've seen, excuse me, I have a cold, since Officer Mikowski was killed. And it's amazing, just amazing. And I'd like to thank the citizens of Dearborn Heights for their support. I've been here for 36 years, and wow, it's unbelievable. And on top of that, just the other night, we got a survival kit for law enforcement officers from a children's group, and I don't know what children's group it was.
I do.
But in it they had lifesavers to remind you of how many times you've been one, Smarties to give you wisdom and split-second decisions, Hershey Kisses to show our love, Tootsie Rolls to roll with the punches, Laffy Taffy to remember to have laughter in your work, and Mounds for the mounds of courage you show. So thank you, citizens.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Hearing none, if anybody has any comments or concerns, any citizens, come up to the podium, state your name and the street you live on.
Hello, Jacqueline Turner on McDonald. I just want to say that the ordinance department has made wonderful progress with their letters they sent out. I've seen a lot of improvement, particularly on the southeast end of Dearborn Heights, because I go to that area quite a lot, and I was quite surprised at how bad some of those streets were over there. But I have seen a lot of improvement, so Jack, doing a great job getting those guys out there. And now I have a question about our trash cans. When are we going to be getting those?
Mayor, go ahead.
We've gone out for quotes. We received 3 quotes. 2 quotes are very close. We're analyzing. We're at a point of bringing a recommendation to the city council. So we have an excellent quote from Waste Management, excellent quote from a corporation called Rizzo's. The third one was so far, it wasn't close, so we have not considered them in. In both cases, it does talk about carts. We have, and so the contract ends in October. Well, the new contract will start in October 1st, so I would think somewhere around October, November, we would have new carts. We will also need to talk about as a council, because we got to get the cars off the street during the time that they're picking the carts up, because they can't pick them up if somebody's got a car parked right in front of it. And we also want to tie in street cleaning with at the same time, since we'll have the cars off the street. So we're kind of coordinating.
For Public Service Day. Like they do in Dearborn, they call it Public Service Day. On trash day, you can't park on their streets.
Yeah.
So they can take care of anything and the trash can be picked up. And
yeah, so it's got to be coordinated, because when the new trucks come in, there's an arm picks up the thing, puts it in the truck. And if a person has a car parked, because it defeats the purpose of going to one-man garbage trucks. But the containers is still under some debate, but we'll be making that presentation. I would hope in the next council meeting, we would have a recommendation before this body in regards to a selection of a contract. But it'll be between those 2 companies.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Thank you. Councilman Musket?
Mr. Mayor, I guess the question will go to Mr. Mayor. I would think that we know that we're going to go to the large cans, and we know we're going to do that. Shouldn't we already implement no parking on your garbage day? I mean, so people can get used to it. I know in Allen Park they pass out a lot of tickets in Allen Park. People don't realize it. When you go to visit someone, you park in the street, you get a ticket. I would think that we should implement that ASAP, so people can get used to it. Put some signs up somewhere, or send literature out to the neighborhoods and get that on board.
As soon as we have the ordinances ready, we'll put them on. I don't know if we can ask you to do that.
Thank you.
I don't.
Councilwoman Horvath?
Anybody else?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I didn't expect that.
I just wanted to mention that Officer 42, he knows who I mean, 82. We never knew his name when we were, there's a story behind it. When we were involved in the Spirit Fest from day one, he was there all the time, and we never knew his name, so we just called him Officer 82. Whenever we needed him, we called him over. But I don't know if he even knows this. The bags that you received were compliments of Councilwoman Lisa Hicks Clayton. She put them together.
And you're all aware that Scotty's wife is probably going to be the next Walter Brushevitz of Canton Township,
Yeah,
right?
yes, yeah,
Oh, great.
yeah.
So if you have friends in Canton Township, Olberg is the person. I shouldn't give those political comments, but
Well, it's not this city, so.
that's okay. Okay.
Any other announcements? All right, anybody any other comments from anyone in the, come up and state your name and the street you live on?
My name is Debbie Brown England. I live on Silvery Lane. I also had a question in regards to the trash bins. Are we also going to get a recycle bin that's the lidded bin like they do in other communities? So we have one that's for trash, one that's for recycle? Because I think, we don't have a rat problem in my neighborhood, but I tell you, the skunk eats out of mine because I see them out there. So I think that the lidded bin would probably help with both the rat and the skunk issue.
That is under discussion. The other problem is that, I was going to wait and present that to the council at the time, is that we expected the rates, we were hoping the rates would come in far below what we're paying currently. But given all the bells and whistles that we want in the carts and everything else, I'm not sure that we can afford everything. In fact, in order to save some money, we've talked to the city treasurer about doing the Act 99 to pay for the carts, because we put alternatives. It's almost like you buy a car and you'd like to have a moonroof,
Right.
but the prices come in and you go, oh my God, I can't afford the moonroof. So a main container for the trash is very doable. They gave us some particular options, and we're reviewing that. Some communities offer prizes for people that recycle. There was a bid of one of them that if you want that kind of bin, they would give it to a resident for $75. The problem with that is I think it's going to discourage recycling. So we're weighing all that thing, and based upon the millage, because I feel it's extremely important that the contract come in with the ability for this community to pay for it. So basically, we projected out $2.5 million as what we're trying to keep the cost underneath. And one of the companies went over that 2.5, which would mean that in the back end of the contract, the community would have to grab some money from the general fund to pay for that. So that's a long answer to your question. I'm not sure if we can or cannot. The treasurer's working with us to see what we can bring the cost of the carts down, and once with that information, and we can plug that into what they've given us and the alternatives, we can then come up. We got to go to a new contract. I'm firmly committed and promised that we're going to have the garbage bins with the cover, which will do a lot for rats. The recycling still is a little bit of an issue. So I don't, this week I'll be finalizing that, and I'm going to try to get as much options that I can, and the council will see and the public will see, because the stuff is open quotes. But what I can't promise you that's going to happen.
Right. I know I went to Home Depot and bought a regular-sized garbage can that has a recycling label on it, and I put my recycling in there, and they take it every week. So I don't know if it's the trash guy taking it, or if it's the actual recycle section of it. But I know because I have way more recycle than I do have garbage.
Good, thank you for recycling.
No, I have 3 times more. So a couple other things I have. I attended a city council meeting in another city, and in the way they set up their agenda is that before any voting happens in that particular day, the public gets to speak first, so they can kind of get their voices heard. And I was just wondering if there was a way for us to be able to do that, because on some issues, you might have to talk 2 weeks in advance, because you wouldn't know that there may be voting on something that somebody might have an opinion on.
Was that Garden City that you were at?
No, actually, it was Melvindale.
Okay. Yeah, I know Garden City does that, and they have comments at the beginning. We've just traditionally always done the citizens' comments at the end, if anybody wants to comment on something that happened at the meeting, or a vote or something, or a decision, but we can...
Actually, it's in our charter, so it would require a charter change. The agenda format is in the charter, so it would require a charter change, because this is the first time we've heard this. I mean, over a period of time, other people have expressed the same concern.
Right.
But it would take a charter change.
And then, I know what some cities do is they have a consent agenda. So anything that is not going to be controversial or need a lot of discussion, they vote on at the very beginning, and then it's much fewer items. But we've traditionally always done it the way we do it, so.
I didn't realize it would take a charter change in order to do that. It seemed like it worked, well, it didn't work out well for the police chief, but it worked out well for the citizens. They were able to kind of speak their piece before a vote was taken, and then they voted. It just seems like it's better for the people to kind of get their voices heard and make sure that they feel like they've got a voice. Because sometimes we talk at the end, and it's like, well, y'all have already voted on something. So, like, unless you knew 2 weeks in advance when the next meeting was, I mean, that's all you would be able to talk about. I also have a couple other things. It was said that the 911 consoles that we have currently have 5 years of serviceability after Motorola puts that model out of production. Do we know when our model was put out of production so that we can better judge what the serviceability of ours is at this point?
That would be a question for the police IT person.
Mark is not here, and Mark was the one that commented on that, and rather than give misinformation, I don't think any of us would know, quite frankly, honestly.
Mr. Chairman, I
Councilwoman
thought it was 2 years after the 5 years. I understood it to be 5 years, and then once that was up, they would service it for 2 more years, and that's it.
Because I re-listened to the video to make sure that I got it correct before I came up here, because, like, I think everybody wants to make sure that we're not spewing any misinformation. And I listened to it 3 times to make sure that I did get it right. And I literally did it right before I came here. And he did say that once it's put out of production, we get 5 more years of serviceability out of it. So I'm just wondering, how many more years do we actually have of serviceable consoles?
Yeah, Mark probably knows. We don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, through the chief's office, you might be able to find that out.
Chief, okay.
We'll
I just want to make sure that if, we're talking about things that we all understand how things happen. Another question, when Spring Tremaine was here talking with Carrie Laycock, she said that the call taker, when you call 911, the call taker is not the dispatcher. And I was wondering, is that how we currently are set up? So when I call 911, there's a call taker and then somebody separate from that dispatches? Because those are her words. She said the call taker is not the dispatcher. Again, I re-listened to all these things, and the goal was to have 90% of the calls answered within 10 to 15 seconds, and that's fine, somebody answering the phone, but what is the lead time between the time the call is answered to the time of actual dispatch versus response time, which we all know what time a police car or a firefighter actually gets to your door. I understand that there's no way to really time that because you can't, I don't know if the firefighters are out on another call. But I'm just wondering, what is our times now, and is that common practice today here in our city, or will that be something new for us?
Chief Brogan?
Yeah, the way our dispatch is set up right now, when all the dispatchers are there, when they're fully staffed, there'll be 3 dispatchers on duty, and one of them is designated as a call taker, and then you have a police dispatcher and a fire dispatcher. And the fire dispatcher is also the lean operator. But a lot of times, with whether someone's sick or someone's hurt, they've had some staffing issues, and they'll only have 2 dispatchers on duty, so then the jobs kind of get shared. But I mean, ideally, there's 3 and sometimes even 4 on duty, and then we do have a designated call taker. But
is there a time delay between, is it seconds between the time the call taker takes the call till it gets to a dispatcher?
I don't know what the stats are. It's supposed to be like 15 seconds. When they're on the phone taking the call, they're typing information in, and then when they hit a button, it pops up on the screen of the dispatcher. So they're still taking more information while the dispatcher's actually calling the fire department or calling a police officer and getting them en route to the call.
Because it seems like when I call, it seems like I'm talking to the person who's dispatching, and because that's just me, you know, I don't know how it operates, but it seems like I'm getting a response so quickly now.
Right. Well, it's very.
There's any delay.
Yeah, that's the way it's done. So they're still getting information. They get the basic information, and then they hit a button that sends it to the other screen, and that's when the call is considered dispatched.
Okay.
And then they call the fire department, police department, and the guys get en route.
Okay, so they're like calming us down or giving us instructions while
Right, yeah.
somebody else is already taking care of
That's
the call.
correct, yep.
Okay, that answers why they get there so fast.
Did you want to
I will
add
commend
anything,
you guys.
Scotty?
You guys get there so fast.
Good.
I think she thinks that they're in different areas. They're all in the same.
They're all in the same area, okay.
Yeah.
And they're right next to each other.
Okay.
And basically what happens is, say we get a armed robbery, okay, the call taker's on the phone and she'll cover a mic and say, hey, so-and-so just got robbed, dispatcher, boom, car's head, you know.
Gotcha. I just think
it's quick.
I think it's just helpful.
If it's something, if we're really busy and there's a rest in the station and there's not manpower on the road, your larceny that happened from your car may take,
Sure.
you know, but.
Right. And I think that we all understand that if it's something that's minimal compared to what you have to deal with on a daily basis, it's right.
Like the siren to a
Right.
larceny from an auto.
Right.
We would to a hold-up alarm or injury accident.
Right. I just think that's important for everybody to understand the process, because a lot of us don't understand the process. And so we're trying to, you know, have opinions when we don't know how the whole process happens. Is there a way to get like a video made? Or, I mean, because you can't have all 57,000 of us coming to the police station to see how your 911 system works. Is there a way to, or is there something that we could view to see how the actual dispatch center works today, ours? Not like somebody else's, but like how our dispatchers work. Is that feasible, or?
That would be up to the mayor.
Yeah, I don't know, if we could or could not. I mean, I'll talk to the chief, Lee Gavin, about it. I'm not saying absolutely not. We'll have to keep some of the information, I think, private. The other thing was somebody had referenced, it was not you, but somebody else, the Plant Moran study, and I got a chance to read that. Plant Moran, the person who quoted the Plant Moran study only quoted one section of it. The overall study, if I understand it, and I'm more than willing, I don't know if that's readily available, but I'd make it available, was that consolidations are a good thing. I did not know that that study existed, but after it was referenced by somebody that was opposed to it and quoted in, but the overall study, if you read it, is affirmative in consolidation.
Right.
It just says.
I've seen parts of it. I didn't reference it, but I've seen parts of it.
What it did say, and they referenced to one point, that to make the conversion, in some areas, it's taken up to 16 months, and that's what was quoted, but it wasn't seen as a deterrent to doing it. So I was kind of surprised, but since they mentioned Plant Moran, I had Stephanie, my secretary, call Plant Moran and give me a copy of the study. So then I read the whole thing, and that wasn't really the theme of the entire study, but anyway.
Right. 2 more questions? Very quick. I'm trying to get it as fast as I can.
Go ahead.
It is not to accuse anybody, so I'm going to quote what was said in the last meeting, that Dearborn is willing to take on all the liability, okay? I re-listened to that statement and to the Kerry Laycock, the 911 consolidation person, and he said of the $20.10 cost per call, and we all, I think at this point, all understand that they don't charge us per call. That is just a guideline that they use. That $18.44 is allocated for the operational costs of such as paying people and stuff. 72 cents for equipment and repair, but 94 cents is used for risk equity. And he said out of his, such as if a dispatcher were to make a mistake and not dispatch something or say something incorrectly or whatever that mistake might be, Kerry says Dearborn at least shares in the responsibility. It's everybody's liability in both communities. So it's not that we don't have any liability. We actually are paying in advance, it seems like, for that liability to the tune of roughly $31,000 for liability. it seems like that money is being kind of set aside for maybe liability costs at 94 cents, if you take into consideration how many calls we get. So if there's no lawsuits, do we get that money back?
Well, here's the thing that I will point out to you, is that neither one of those two parties could hold the city of Dearborn, correct me if I'm wrong, it can't speak for the city of Dearborn. They're not officers, and what will rule the process would be an ultimate contract. And that would be where these elected officials and the Dearborn elected officials making an agreement, and that's what counts. The fact that somebody who is a consultant putting in a system would not hold anybody liable for anything that they say, because they're not principal officers. What'll really, and I have not seen, I've not received, nobody's contacted me since we had the meeting from the city of Dearborn relative to a contract. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the contract would rule, and it's got to be signed by the officers.
Moreover, there's governmental immunity. I mean,
that's
it'd be a very attenuated theory to try to end up having any sort of liability assigned to the city of Dearborn Heights. They probably end up attributing a certain amount of funding for risk management that they end up normally doing, but I don't know how Dearborn ends up doing its insurance. It may have a third-party insurance company as opposed to being a member of Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority like we are. So, you know, that's just they've baked that in terms of a cost of doing business is what it sounds like. But the idea that we have some sort of significant exposure in this situation seems to me extraordinarily remote, because essentially these wouldn't even be our employees, and then you would have to essentially have some way to be able to say that we would have tort liability, which would be almost impossible to make that type of a claim.
It would have to be some type of an ultra-virus act, you know, somebody doing something intentionally illegal or something, and that person would be
even then, though,
responsible.
Just to clarify, and you know, essentially, we would be engaged in a governmental function. We'd have absolute governmental immunity. None of our employees would end up being involved, and because they're not involved, essentially, we don't have liability based on them engaging in gross negligence. So the ability to actually come back and hit the city for some sort of liability claim is, I think someone would just be like shooting at the moon.
See, yeah, that's maybe how they explain their model, but it's all the details. If and when a contract comes out, then we have to crunch the numbers and look at it. Right now, it's just speculation.
I understand, but this is supposedly the person that's the expert on this happening and going forward. So we're only kind of getting that information. I think that's probably questions that a lot of people have that maybe haven't asked. And if it never gets asked, then we never get an answer.
It's sort of like, I guess, if you go to a car dealership to buy a car, it's, you know, talk, and the salesman says this or that. It's, you know, what counts is what's on the contract if and when you buy the car.
I agree, and I know that the fire chief from Dearborn did say at the meeting in Melvindale that they are currently writing contracts for 2 cities. So I don't know if one of those cities is our city or whose city, because he wouldn't release the information of whoever it was. And lastly, the $336,000 that we get from the telephone bills, the money that's collected, Spring said that money goes towards, it's only for, in Western Wayne County, is only used for the 911 system. Is that for just equipment, or how do we utilize that money here in the city?
Talking about the 911 money,
Yeah, we get all of us that on our phone bill, as I understand it, there's a charge, and that money comes through the state and gets allocated in Wayne County. They allocate it, and it goes. Our portion comes from the Central Wayne. Yeah, and so as was mentioned, the 336 is completely dedicated to everything over there, wages and equipment. So
it's not specifically for equipment or specifically for wages, it is
no, but it is
overall.
But my understanding, and I could be wrong on this, but my understanding, but it doesn't cover the whole operational cost. is that we have always assigned that, right? Oh, Vince knows.
It doesn't cover the whole cost, and it does include wages and benefits for dispatchers, equipment, anything related to 911.
So we've only spent it on that portion, and I don't see it ever rising to the point where we would end up with an excess.
Okay.
Can I make a comment to the insurance question that she had?
Sure.
There's $36,000 built into the Dearborn proposal.
Yes.
On the other side, though, we wouldn't have to cover the dispatchers and the equipment anymore on our side, so you would expect a decrease in our insurance payments each year.
And as I stated, our exposure would be significantly cut under those circumstances because we should have no direct liability and any sort of vicarious liability. By virtue of an employee, we would not have an employee who would end up being engaged in this situation.
Maybe someone should explain that to the salesperson that was here. I'm saying, because that's exactly how he said, I quote his exact words on how he said it. So I'm just saying that if he's giving out information.
He's attributing costs. He's not saying how much we would end up having.
And
Our
he's
exposure
the
would not be there.
expert. He was the expert in this. I mean, he's done consolidations for huge municipalities.
Yeah, again, I think that if there's a proposed agreement, that's the thing to look at and to look at the numbers. I think we've got some other people that want to get up and comment. Vince?
It's not any direct exposure. It's not like someone can
Anyone else? Please come up to the podium, state your name and the street you live on.
I know.
Hussein Hajamat, Hanover Street.
That's the reason I jumped.
Mr. Chairman, we had our appraisal done back like about 50 days ago on our houses. I got in the lowest price. I said, okay, whatever. I'm just gonna let go with it. I just don't want the floods no more. Let me get out of there. I received a call yesterday from Christie after you guys approved the appraisals and everything.
Hussein or Mr. El-Jamani, isn't this, proprietary and the negotiations and so forth? I don't.
No. Nope, because my neighbors, my neighbors were being told, you guys can come in next week and pick up your checks. I was the only one that was being told my stuff were denied by the state. The state's saying $105,000 is too much for my house. Well, I don't need the money. Let the city go buy me a house, the same identification as mine, for $105,000. I'm enough with these games. I need all my papers. I'm not taking no more verbal words. State's saying they're denied. I want to see the denial on papers.
Well, Hussein, as far as the specifics of the appraisal for your house, the amounts they came up with.
And I said I'm fine with it. Believe it or not, I was like about $30,000 to $40,000, the lowest from all of my other neighbors. And I said, that is fine. Let me just get my family out of there. Let me move on with my life. After 50 days, she wants to come up to me and tell me the state denied the amount. Okay, fine. I don't need the amount. Go buy me a house for $105,000, just like mine.
Well, why don't you communicate that to the city?
You can't even talk to this lady. I don't even know.
Yeah,
she's an assistant. She's not the mayor. She's not something at the city. Why do we have to deal with her?
Yeah, but that's your the negotiation with your particular property, and the city of Dearborn Heights administering the grant and the grant money. So, as far as the particulars, the numbers, the amounts, that's not really nothing that the city council here or the mayor can address.
Well, the city council or the mayor don't have the power over an assistant to say, this resident needs everything on paper. He's not taking no more verbal words from you. He doesn't want to even talk to you. You have anything, bring it up on papers. And I think I do have the right, if there's a denial from the state, for me to see it on paper. Verbal word is not going to walk with me no more.
Why I don't
My
understand
other
why he
neighbors
can't
were
get
approved
that.
for their amounts.
Yeah, let me meet with you after the meeting, and we'll talk about it. It's just not something we can address up here. Anyone else?
20 or 30,000.
Move to adjourn.
But she had enough
Support.
of her budget to cover it.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you,
Then the
everyone.
state looked at them.